2025 is here, but where is the bull run? People are wondering if we're going to have a bull run at all. Are we going to have an alt season? In today's video, I'm going to show you why I think we haven't even started the true bull run yet and what my price target is for Bitcoin this cycle. I think it may shock you, so hit that like button and let's jump into it. All right, so we're going to jump into what's going on with the crypto markets here and the 2025 bull run. A lot of people are getting worried because we're not seeing some very good upward movement in the price action recently. Bitcoin having a slight pullback, nothing too crazy, but people are still panicking like they're thinking that the bull run is already over. I'm going to show you in this video why I think the bull run hasn't even really started yet and a shocking price prediction for Bitcoin. So let's jump into it here. So we currently have the total crypto market cap of $3.4 trillion. Last cycle, I think it got up to about $3.2 trillion at the peak of the cycle. So we're just over that peak. Bitcoin just under 95,000 as of this recording. Now, a lot of people are worried about Bitcoin because, you know, we did get up to like 107, almost $108,000. We had a correction all the way down to the low 90,000s. And now we're just kind of stuck around this lower half of the 90,000 range. And people think that we're probably going to dump lower. A lot of people are panic selling and they're getting sick of holding on to their altcoins, waiting for an alt season to happen that hasn't happened yet, and they think that this is never going to come. But I'm going to show you in this video here why I think that we could have an absolutely massive bull run coming here. So there's some FUD out there, like the federal government just got the green light to sell 6.5 billion in Bitcoin that was seized from Silk Road. Now a lot of people are thinking that they're going to sell their Bitcoin kind of like Germany did, where they're going to be dumping it onto the market and the price of Bitcoin is going to start crashing because they did get the green light to sell this. Now typically though, when the US government sells Bitcoin like this, they sell it over the counter. So they basically would do a sale with somebody over the counter where they would purchase the Bitcoin from the government and then the government would send the Bitcoin to them directly to their wallet. It would not go on the market at all, so this would really not impact the price of Bitcoin. It would be like you sending me, you know, $95,000 and then I send you one of my Bitcoin to your wallet. It would never see any exchange on a crypto exchange, so it would not affect the price at all. So I really think this is nothing to worry about. There is some other FUD out there about the USDT in Europe being delisted potentially. We'll take a look at that here. So the end of Tether in Europe, uncertainty looms as MiCA regulations take effect. So there's a big FUD around this with the USDT being potentially delisted from all exchanges in the UK. But from what I'm understanding is this is really not that big of a deal. If you look at exchanges like Coinbase and some others in the US, they already do not use USDT pairs. They use USDC pairs or USD pairs typically in the United States. And these exchanges that have access to the UK probably most likely just list pairs in USDC or something else where users from the UK will still be able to purchase, buy and sell those coins in USDC or whatever the currency may be instead of USDT, and then they'll still sell USDT to other countries that USDT is legal in and not really have to worry about these MiCA regulations at all. So there's a lot of FUD in the market that can impact the price. This typically happens so the investors that are not experienced with crypto and are new, if you look at the, I believe it was the 84% of the Bitcoin that has been sold recently since the price of 107,000. Basically 84% of that has been new investors that have invested in Bitcoin within the last several months. So these are not long-term investors and not whales that are selling. Typically it's basically new retail that's been selling. So, and then the big investors and the whales have been buying up this dip. So that's why I think this is a good time for people to get ready for the next leg up potentially with Bitcoin. So we'll take a look at some other things here. So this article in Forbes.com says Alt Season 2025, a crypto bull run guide. So Forbes.com is talking about a 2025 bull run here. Bitcoin having all-time high in alt season, a recipe for a bull run, or is it? Bitcoin having reduces its issuance rate, and basically here they're talking about how after that BTC really rallies to a new all-time high. Typically an alt season follows, but the alt season has not quite followed yet. We have seen some big moves in coins like XRP and Solana and others and a bunch of meme coins, but the true alt season hasn't hit yet. So again, this article is kind of contemplating whether or not we will get an alt season. They're saying, how is this cycle any different from the previous cycles? So every cycle has 4 stages: accumulation, markup, distribution, and markdown. We've seen the accumulation phase. We're starting to see the markup phase. I don't think yet that we've seen any kind of distribution phase at all. That's why I think that we're not even near the top. When we're near the top, you're going to see some really crazy things happen in crypto. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. People are going to be buying NFTs for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stupid NFTs that, you know, like rocks. Last bull run, people were selling rock NFTs and buying rock NFTs for $500,000. You're going to see crazy stuff like that towards the top of this bull run, and that hasn't happened yet. You're going to see people really blowing money on stupid things out there. That's absolutely going to blow your mind, and that hasn't happened yet because people haven't made those stupid gains in crypto yet where they really start getting stupid with their money and things just go absolutely crazy in price. So they're saying also in here that institutional capital is involved in this bull run with the crypto ETF, so that's going to help make less volatility potentially this cycle. They're also talking about macros and liquidity and regulations here. So they're saying that typically the interest rates have been a lot lower during a bull run, and we haven't had the big decrease in interest rates like we have previously. The interest rates have only dropped from 5.25% down to 4.19%. They think that the interest rates may need to come down lower before we start getting a crypto bull run, because typically once the interest rates come way down lower, that's when people start moving their funds into more riskier assets like crypto. That hasn't happened quite yet. It's been a little bit of a cut on interest rates, but nothing too drastic. If we start getting below 4%, I think that'll really trigger a bull run. But interest rates may not lower too much until after the Trump administration is in, and maybe towards the end of the year for 2025. And that's when typically when they lower the interest rates below 4%, that's when you see investors start moving their funds into more riskier assets like crypto and Bitcoin. But we'll see what the Trump administration does and how their policies affect jobs and stuff like that, because that is really going to determine whether the Fed decides to lower interest rates or not. And there may be some kind of action from the Trump administration that may twist their arm a little bit to lower those interest rates, because my guess is going to be that Trump is going to want interest rates to be lowered so more people can borrow money to build new houses and things like that. So we'll see what happens over the course of the next several months with the Trump administration. This article is also talking about the Trump administration potentially having a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which may force the government to purchase 200,000 Bitcoins every year over the course of the next 5 years or so, where they would get a good percent of the Bitcoin supply out of the circulation and in the government's hands for their Bitcoin strategic reserve. That could also potentially push the Bitcoin price up much higher. This article also mentions when alt season. They're saying if history teaches us anything, that typically alt season happens after the price of Bitcoin has pushed up. Bitcoin's price has been moving up, and they think that Bitcoin's price is going to continue to move up throughout 2025, and that alt season will follow. But they're still talking about an alt season definitely happening in this article, but they think that it will happen sometime over the course of the next 3 years. I still think it's going to happen in 2025, potentially the beginning of this year, and maybe even more so towards the end of the year. You know, potentially around that October to December time frame is when I think we could potentially peak out, but I am going to be safe, take out profits early. Let's take a look at some things in the charts here with Bitcoin. That's really going to show us what's going to happen potentially with the price of Bitcoin. I think it's going to be really shocking here what the charts are showing right now. So if you take a look at the Bitcoin price here, you can see we are kind of making a pennant bull flag here with Bitcoin. And if we take a measurement from the bottom of this here all the way up to the top price point with this, basically if we just did kind of a move like this, if we take this and add this to this pennant here anywhere in this kind of range, you know, you can see that's pushing us up towards $140,000 mark. Now, I'm not a chart expert, but that's typically how you measure is from the bottom of this move up to the top. You can also measure it in a straight line like this and then put it on your pennant where, you know, where you think it could break through. And that's still going to put us somewhere around the $140,000 price range with Bitcoin as the next leg up potentially with it here. Now, this is what's really interesting. I want to show you what the Pi Cycle top indicator is showing us, because it is showing us a much higher price target for Bitcoin. Also want to show you the stock to flow model from Plan B. He is predicting a much higher price point than this for Bitcoin this cycle, and the stock to flow model has not been wrong so far in previous cycles. Let's take a look at those here. So if you look at the Pi Cycle top indicator here, both of these moving averages are still moving up much higher. They're showing an upward movement in both of these, showing a much higher price action potentially with Bitcoin. If we look at the previous cycle with Bitcoin here, Bitcoin actually broke above both of these indicators at the beginning of the run here. So this would be kind of like the range we're in now, where they're in between the lines, and then boom, they shot up above it. And you could see that they shot way above this indicator here. If we go all the way back to the previous cycle as well, again, they shot well above this indicator, both of these indicators, and where these lines crossed, it indicated the top of the cycle. Again, here, this line crossing is where it indicated the top of the cycle, which was close. It did even get a little bit higher towards the end of 2021, so it actually went higher than this price cycle top indicator later in the year. But it's a pretty good indicator, and right now it is nowhere near touching each other, and it's showing a price target right now of 137,000. If Bitcoin breaks through this moving average like it has in the previous cycles, you're going to see a crazy price target for Bitcoin, you know, well up into the high 100,000s or even the 200,000 range here is kind of what it's showing. If it breaks up above here, you know, that could be potentially really crazy next moves for Bitcoin if it does what it has previously. So the Pi cycle top indicator is showing us that much higher price targets for Bitcoin are expected this cycle. So we'll have to see what happens here. If we make such a crazy move up here, like it's showing that we could, if we look at previous cycles, you know, it really just flew way above this indicator, you know, for the top of Bitcoin. So we'll take a look at what Plan B is showing with the stock to flow moving average here. We're still in the yellow zone. If we look at previous cycles, that was, you know, sort of the middle of this, and here we were sort of in the middle of this, and even back here we weren't even at the middle of this. Towards the orange was the lower half of this, but previous cycles show that the red dots get above this stock to flow chart here. And if we look at the price targets for this cycle, if you watch his video or go on his X page for Plan B, you know, he's showing a price target of 500,000 for Bitcoin for this cycle, with a minimum price target of 250,000 all the way up to $1 million. We take a look at this, $1 million would be up here, and typically Bitcoin has broken through this chart line here. If it broke through it up here, that would be, you know, upwards of $750,000 with Bitcoin. But let's say it doesn't break through, let's say it stops right below this, you're still looking at, you know, $500,000 to $600,000 Bitcoin potentially. And if we only got up to here with it, you know, halfway through with Bitcoin, you would be looking at like a $250,000 Bitcoin price target for this cycle. So that's what Plan B's price target is showing. Now let's take a look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart and see what it's showing potentially for high for this cycle. So if you look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart here, previous cycles we did get up into the dark red, and then light red last cycle. So maybe this cycle we only get into the basically touching the dark red or into the orange. If we were to take that and go out to October of 2025, and we look at the chart here, if we get to towards the end of October, beginning of November here with this cycle, that's going to push us in the orange zone from 186,000 up to 239,000 for Bitcoin's price target. And if it were to break into the lighter red target, you're looking at a $240,000 Bitcoin or higher price target for Bitcoin this cycle. So the rainbow chart is showing somewhere in $180,000 to $250,000 price target for Bitcoin this cycle as well, unless we were to only get into the orange here with it, and that would, you know, put us at the still, you know, if we still look at October of this year, you're looking at $146,000 to $186,000 price target for Bitcoin. So still showing much higher price targets to go with Bitcoin. So everything is showing Bitcoin potentially going a much higher price target up to $250,000 this cycle, according to all of these indicators out there in these charts previously. It's showing much higher price targets for Bitcoin, but I still want you to be cautious and not think that we're going to hit these targets, because we may not. Even though these indicators are showing that we should hit it that high this cycle, you definitely want to be careful and make sure that you're taking profits out if you're in good profits with your altcoins way before these crazy price targets. We definitely will be taking a look at the Pi cycle top indicator and see how it goes over the next several months here and what price targets it's marking for the top of the cycle. Right now it's showing that we're nowhere near the top, but we still need to be cautious. And if you're in some really good profits with your altcoins, make sure you're taking profits out early and don't wait for $200,000 or even $180,000, $150,000 Bitcoin to be taking profits out. If you're in good profits in your altcoins, you definitely want to be careful and get those profits out, so you're making sure that you secure profits this cycle. The thing is to not try to hit the top. The thing is to, if you're in good profits, take them out and get them out of the market while you can, because you just don't know when the cycle is going to end. It never ends when everybody thinks it's going to be, so you definitely want to be careful. But that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this video, guys. I'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you on the next video.